Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this masterclass on search today. Masterclasses are an initiative run by the IAB MENA chapter, which allows our members to take part in educating, sharing knowledge, sharing insights, and sharing the ability to help us grow the market across the MENA region by sharing knowledge between the different companies. So today's session will be led by Omnicom Media, who will talk us through SA360 and some of the advanced features of that tool and how you can make the most of your search budgets. What you won't see in any of these masterclasses that we run on a monthly basis are sales materials or anything that's aimed at driving the individual narrative of that particular company or any negative perspectives on any industry players. This is really an opportunity for us to collectively learn about specific topics that we have. We've had a number of really interesting masterclasses through the year, everything from research on Gen Z, which we had, I think it was in April, if I remember correctly, all the way through to attention. And this month, we're focusing very much on search. So this session led by Omnicom on SA360, as I said, and in 2 weeks' time, we have a session on the future of search, or at least some future gazing onto what search might look like in the future with developments and things like visual search and obviously AI developments. So lots of exciting stuff there. You'll notice that we'll start to release further sessions in January and February next year. So please do have a look at the website where we do publish the upcoming masterclasses as and when they become available. As a member, you're able to present should you wish to, and again on the website there's a button in which you can apply to present, making sure that it's something that is beneficial to the whole industry. So that's all I really wanted to say before we start. I want to hand over now to Omar, who will talk us through the OMG, or Omnicom Media Group perspective on SA360, sharing with you some of the insights that they've developed working with this tool. We do record these sessions, as I mentioned, or as was mentioned earlier, and you are able to watch back the sessions, share them with your colleagues, etc. if they were not able to make the session, or if you want to go back and actually revisit some of the content that was shared. These are available on the website again, or on our YouTube channel, and you can use these QR codes to do that, either to download the schedule or to watch previous masterclasses. So please go ahead and do that and share that with your colleagues. This is all available to the whole industry. So with that, I hand over to Omar and the Omnicom team to talk us through SA360 for the next 45 minutes or so. Omar.
Thanks so much, Ian. All right, everyone, amazing. So thank you all for joining today. As Ian highlighted, this will be a masterclass on Search as 360. My name is Omar. I lead search here at Omnicom Media Group in MENA. And I'd like to take you guys through, particularly within SA360, bid strategies and potentially as well how to maximize them. So after today, I'd like everyone here to have learned something about the differences on SA360 from Google Ads, the bid strategies that are directly available on SA360, and additionally as well how we can maximize these bidding strategies to bring out the best in their potential. And also just a little fun fact, typically speaking, of course, this is directly coming from Google, advertisers with budget-strained campaigns who adopt an SA360 budget bid strategy can typically expect up to 10% more conversions at a similar spend or ROI. So starting off with the agenda, I'd like to start off first kind of differentiating between SA360 and Google Ads, as of course most of us and most people within the industry are all more accustomed to Google Ads. Additionally as well, I'll go into the bid strategies available on SA360, how we can plan and forecast within the tool itself, what are floodlights, and additionally as well, how do conversion goals work on SA360. We'll go into the best practices, and then towards the end, I'll leave some time as well for Q&A, which you guys can either choose to speak to me at a time or just put in the chat as well. So starting off with SA360 versus Google Ads. So generally first, what is SA360? It stands for Search Ads 360, and it's part of the Google Marketing Platform or GMP suite of tools. And additionally as well, the primary focus for SA360 is to enable large-scale search marketing across multiple engines. And at the very right here, you guys can see some of these engines. Of course, we have the typical Google ones, such as Google Ads. We also have Bing, Baidu from China, Yandex from Russia, and Yahoo from Japan, the most popular search engines within these markets. And we also have some other tools here that we can pull data from in order to report towards, such as DV and some of the social platforms as well. We have Salesforce, AppsFlyer, Adjust, and Adobe Analytics here as well. So some of the key benefits of SA360, and the first one, of course, it's the easiest one to think of, is cross-engine management, where you can manage all of your search campaign against multiple engines, all within the same platform at once, and utilize tools within this platform to make all of that a lot easier. Additionally, as well, you got a lot of advanced reporting and insights. So not only, of course, are you able to bring in all of these engines at once, you can also report on them all at the same time using some advanced reporting methods within SA360. And what today's session is going to be focused on, of course, we can also leverage very powerful bid strategies that also work across different engines and campaign types that exist within Google. And then the last one, of course, is Floodlights, which is more of a GMP feature as a whole, which is a type of conversion tag that allows for more accurate measurement with also customizable tracking parameters that can provide really unified reporting. And I'll go into this one today in a little bit more detail. So then, differentiating between Google Ads and SA360. Well, the first part I want to highlight is what features currently exist between both Google Ads and SA360 at the same time. So they both share a very similar UX navigation nowadays. After the new SA360 and its recent updates, the UX between both of these platforms work very similarly, and it's quite easy actually to move from Google Ads into SA360. Additionally, as well, they both support enhanced conversions. They also support ad format support for campaigns such as PMAX and Discovery, and they both also utilize auction time bidding within their standard bid strategies. And auction time bidding will cover kind of what intraday bidding is and auction time bidding today. However, in the simplest manner, auction time bidding will be adding a bid to every single keyword that you have at the time of the auction. And this will kind of make a little bit more sense when we also discuss what intraday bidding is. However, this is now uniformly available both on Google Ads and SA360. Now, when we go into the SA360 exclusive features, the first one we have is, of course, cross-engine management between multiple different engines, such as Bing. We also have inventory management, which has now been renamed to templates, which allows you to kind of bulk create or edit many different campaigns, ad groups, and RSAs as well across multiple engines at once. We have budget bid strategies, which we'll be discussing today. Floodlights. You also have the BigQuery connector into SA360 directly. And then, of course, a multitude of GMP and CM360 integrations are also only available exclusively on Search Ads 360. Now, covering the actual bid strategies that we have available. So firstly, what actually makes them really special? The first one, as we highlighted earlier, is cross-engine capabilities. You're able to manage and optimize your bid strategies all within one platform, and they work across multiple engines such as Google Ads, Microsoft, Yahoo, and Baidu. Now, of course, not all of the engines work perfectly with Search Ads 360. There can be some complications in some areas. Typically, of course, you're going to find the best one to be Google Ads, but additionally as well, Microsoft comes in as a close second. But from there on, you might end up facing some challenges with the rest of them. We also have budget bid strategies, which similarly as well are cross-engine and campaign type bid strategies portfolio that lets you work towards achieving your key budgets while also kind of bidding against your primary KPIs that you would like to achieve for your campaigns. And the last one that we have here is Floodlights, where you can condense your measurement. So if you, let's just assume for a second, you guys have multiple accounts across multiple different engines. Using Floodlights, you're able to condense all of your measurement into one tag that is kind of shared across the entire GMP stack and kind of condenses all of this data for better bid adjustments output as a result of all of that data kind of coming through in one tag instead of multiple at the same time. So then covering the actual bid strategies that we have. So these three bid strategies I currently have on the screen are ones that are sharing the same bidding algorithm exactly as the one available on Google Ads. So just as an example, any one of these bid strategies will perform exactly the same on Google Ads as they do on Search Ads 360. Kind of covering the first one we see to our left, we have target ROAS, which of course adjusts your bids to a desired return on ad spend. And typically here we can see that business objectives and cost efficiency with this particular bid strategy is incredibly high. However, of course, there can be a little bit of challenges when it comes to scalability and flexibility. We also have target CPA, which sets a bid specifically towards achieving a certain cost per acquisition or cost per conversion. And this is very similar, of course, to target ROAS, The only difference here is that it's a little bit more scalable and flexible due to not bidding directly on value, but we also see good cost efficiency at the same time. And then the last one that we have is target impression share, which here, of course, this is predominantly focused on adjusting your bids to achieve a certain number of impressions versus the total number of eligible impressions available. And this can kind of be achieved across different types of impression share metrics, such as general impression share, absolute top of page impression share, or just simply top impression share as well. And here, typically, of course, businesses don't tend to focus on impression share as their primary KPI. As a result, it doesn't necessarily align very well to every business's KPIs. Cost efficiency as well might not be incredibly high, as this will predominantly focus on showing your ad as much as possible, but not necessarily be efficient. However, of course, it's very, very scalable and very flexible in terms of how you can control it and how you can operate this bid strategy. Now, generally speaking, when you come to working on the platform, how do you actually create these bid strategies? So under any bid strategy page or campaign page, you can click the plus sign available on SA360, and then you can select one of these 4 bid strategies. Now, so far, we've highlighted target ROAS, target CPA, and target impression share, and I'll get into budget bid strategies in a second. However, after you select one of these, you'll be seeing the screen that I have here on the very right. So initially, of course, you'll want to name your specific bid strategy. And additionally, as well, you also want to select your campaigns. Now, typically, of course, on Google Ads, we run bid strategies on a campaign per campaign level. However, on SA360, and this is also available on Google Ads, from here, you can also select multiple campaigns at once across multiple different engines or accounts to run a bid strategy portfolio instead. Now, from there, you'll be seeing this screen right over here. Initially, at the very top, you're going to have to set your target. And this works the same for target CPA and target impression share, where you can adjust it directly from here. And this is kind of where we're going to see auction time bidding appearing for the first time. So you'll see here that it mentions use Google Ads auction time bidding. And if you check this over here, which is also set by default, your bid strategy will be utilizing it. And additionally, as well, you can set a minimum and a maximum bid limit for your auction time bidding. Alternatively, you can use intraday bidding limits. And this is kind of an older method of bidding, especially back in the past with Google Ads. However, typically speaking, the way intraday bidding works is that it sets your overall bid for a keyword around every 6 hours. So let's say every 6 hours passes, the keyword collects data based off of the users that have been clicking and the behavior that has been occurring. It will then set a bid based off of that behavior for the next 6 hours. Now, the reason why auction time bidding is so much more powerful is that A, it takes a lot more signals into account. And additionally, as well, it sets your bid at every single auction, at every single search term for your keyword, rather than, of course, every 6 hours. So generally speaking, of course, here, best practice for most activity will be to utilize Google Ads auction time bidding. However, of course, this comes with a caveat that this isn't necessarily available across all of the engines, and it's predominantly focused on Google activity. And then towards the very end here, you'll see bid adjustments that you can make across different elements within your campaign. So devices, remarketing, and location. Generally as well here, it's also going to be best practice that you leave all of these on as your bid strategy gets more controlled than just simply adjusting your keyword level bids, but you're also then able to adjust bids at all of these levels as well. However, of course, for any reason, whether you or your clients would not prefer to bid towards any of these, this is also where you can deactivate them. And then from here, you would simply be done with the initial setup for one of the basic bid strategies that's available on both Google and Search Ads 360. Now, budget bid strategies. So this one here is specifically unique to Search Ads 360 and is only available on this platform. And the main key point here is that you're able to create a budget bid strategy for even a single or multiple campaigns across multiple engines and also multiple campaign types. And when creating a budget bid strategy, you have very similar options with target ROAS and target CPA as your primary bidding method. However, you also have maximize clicks or max clicks, which predominantly focuses, of course, on driving traffic to your website. Now, one thing about budget bid strategy that differentiates them from the previous ones that we mentioned, they will prioritize spend as your primary KPI. Now, the previous bid strategies we highlighted, they will prioritize the KPI that we set in place according to the actual bid strategy. So target ROAS will focus on your ROAS first and foremost, while kind of spending your daily budget on the side. However, here it's the other way around. And generally speaking, with budget bid strategies, there's a couple of key strengths that I'd like to highlight for everyone. The first one, very flexible date ranges. So unlike standard bid strategies, of course, budget bid strategies are not limited to the daily budgets that we usually set with other campaigns that typically focus on spending as much as possible, spending as much of that budget as possible within a certain given day, and kind of ignoring the bigger picture of what the entire period might look like. Budget bid strategies, let's say, for example, we set them for the next quarter as a whole, will kind of, spread out that budget as according to how much demand there is for your campaigns or how well the performance can be during this period. So if we set it for Q4, you might find that your campaigns aren't spending as much in October. However, come November, where we have Singles Day and Black Friday as well, your campaign will start ramping up in spend. So it's not necessarily focused on just spending the entire daily budget at once, but it will split out that spend according to the next upcoming period that you decide on. Additionally, as well, of course, is also cross-engine and works across multiple campaign types. So one thing, especially with Google Ads, is that budget bid strategies are the only type of bid strategy that supports both search campaigns and performance campaigns at once and can optimize both of them towards one key KPI. Many times, of course, we launch, let's say, very low funnel search campaigns that align very closely with a performance max campaign. So we might as well have them both bid towards the same KPI. Now, after we kind of learned a little bit about budget bid strategies, how do we actually set one up? So very similarly, again, back to the initial page that we saw, we will be selecting budget bid strategy. And then the page right after that will be selecting the date range that we'd like to have. And currently over here in this example, I have 1 month. However, of course, this can be as expanded and as long as you'd like it to be. And then from there, we pick the key metric or the kind of bidding that the bid strategy is going to be using. So whether it's conversion value, so this is target ROAS, conversions or average cost per conversions, target CPA, and then clicks or average CPC, which is also maximize clicks. But then towards the end, of course, you can select as many campaigns or as little campaigns as you would like for your budget bid strategy. Now, continuing on, from there, you also see something called performance target. So the first thing you're going to be setting, of course, is the spend target that you want to achieve. And as highlighted earlier, this is going to be the primary focus of the bid strategy to achieve this actual spend target. Additionally, as well, you can ensure that you get flagged if the overall spend forecast, and we'll go into detail over forecasts in a little bit here, is above or below target by any percentage that you would like to see. This can also be set by a monetary value instead. So you can exactly get flagged when you would like to be through email. The same thing as well for your key metrics. So in this example here, I have the target set as clicks with a certain number, and then it's showing me the CPC that's likely going to be trying to achieve that many number of clicks. And additionally as well, you can get flagged if the overall forecast is below or above a certain target by a certain percentage or numerical value again. And then from here, you'll be done with your budget bid strategy. So now that we've created bid strategies, whether the standard ones that we have available on both SA and Google Ads or the budget bid strategies, we have some features that are also unique to SA360 with planning and forecasting. So overall, when you look at any bid strategy page, whether it's a budget bid strategy or a standard one, you'll be seeing this page right in front of you on the platform. So the first thing that you can see is the standard metrics that we typically see, such as your actual CPA, your conversions, costs, and clicks, but you'll also see what we have here as forecasted spend, conversions, and forecasted clicks. So when you're running a bid strategy on SA360, you can actually see what the bid strategy is anticipating in the next couple of weeks or even months in terms of your key metrics that you usually take a look at. And this, of course, can be key for you guys to gain insights and understand how is my bid strategy performing in the future based off of how I'm performing today. And when any changes are made to the campaign or to your overall activity, you can come back, take a look again at your forecast and see what kind of impact that has made kind of with the current data that has been updated following those new changes. Additionally, as well, just a key tip here, you guys will see at the very top right that I have November 1 to 30th of 2024 selected. Always ensure that you select a future date in order to actually see the forecasts. If you select a recent date right now, the forecast will just simply see 0, as this is kind of how the system takes a look at which date range you want to see for the forecast as well. Now, when taking a look as well under budget bid strategies, we also have this initial part of the plan when we actually set up the budget bid strategy. So when initially creating it for the first time, you'll be able to set a target spend a target, let's say CPA, or a target number of conversions that you would like to aim for. And through all of these metrics, you can kind of get an idea of, let's say, for example, if you want to really be focused on spending $20,000 during a certain period of time, you can understand exactly what kind of conversions or CPA you can expect as a return. However, if you were to change your budget, let's say down to 15,000, you can also see the impact directly available on the platform and on the screenshot. And this blue bar that's available right there in the middle, you can highlight over it to kind of understand at what different spend levels does your performance end up changing, to kind of get an understanding of what's my limit in terms of spend to still continue achieving the key KPIs I would like. Let's say, for example, in here, target CPA. My target CPA is 80. What's the maximum I can spend and maximum number of conversions I can achieve within that 80 CPA target as well. And as I highlighted on the very right here, you can change any of one of these three metrics to see how it affects the other two right away dynamically, and it all updates within the screen when initially creating your budget bid strategy. All right, now covering floodlights and conversion goals. So Floodlights, as I highlighted earlier, is a conversion tag for the Google Marketing Platform, or GMP, which typically, of course, consists predominantly of GA, SA360, and DV360 as well. And the main strength here is that you're able to utilize a single set of tags to track conversions from all of these different sources without kind of being concerned about your conversions being counted over multiple times. Additionally, as well, through that floodlight tag, you're then able to share attribution, audiences, conversions, creatives, and even floodlight data across all of these platforms at once and be able to manipulate all of that data within your platform. So some of the key benefits. First one, of course, as I highlighted, is cross-platform integration, kind of having a comprehensive tracking system across multiple different platforms such as Google, Microsoft, and Yahoo. Additionally, as well, you can also create something called custom floodlight variables in Campaign Manager, which allows you to capture a lot more information with each conversion as you set it up. And again, this is completely custom. So floodlights are able to capture more information from every single user who comes into your website. And through this information, you're able to create custom variables to measure, for example, is this user a new or returning customer? Additionally, as well, are they part of any loyalty program? And of course, you guys can imagine that you can then create audiences out of these segments and out of this data and retarget it or reutilize it within any of your campaigns. Additionally, as well, focusing on audiences, you can, of course, also create very specific audience lists that are cross-matched between all of the platforms we just discussed. So as an example here, I have an audience list of new users who visited your site from all of your search and display activity at once, rather than just, for example, your search activity or just your paid search activity. So of course, utilizing floodlights is one of the key strengths of SA360, as your bid strategies then are able to tap into much greater data that's kind of mixed across the entire GMP stack and even other engines. So it has a much better understanding of how your users perform and how they typically act, rather than just utilizing, for example, a standard Google Ads tag through the platform itself. And this is kind of one of the key strengths of bidding directly on SA360 versus bidding directly on Google Ads. Now, kind of discussing conversion goals and overall conversions, they have also changed a little bit with the new SA360 update. So in the previous SA360, we could actually optimize a single bid strategy towards one conversion goal. So initially, when you were creating a bid strategy, you had to select the conversion goal first, and then the campaigns under that bid strategy, which means that all of those campaigns will be bidding towards that one conversion goal. However, with the new SA360, now conversion goals can be made at an account level or even at a campaign level, which means that every single campaign can have a unique goal, and the bid strategy itself is no longer tied to a single goal. However, that one bid strategy can still have multiple campaigns with different goals within it, all working towards the same KPI. So just to kind of give a real life example here, if your client, for example, has different tags set up across multiple websites for different languages or regions, you can still have all of these campaigns within the same exact bid strategy, targeting the same KPI, despite them all, of course, having very different tags. But just as a caveat here, it's still important to ensure that all of your campaigns are kind of still funneling towards the same idea or same KPI, such as ROAS or conversions, and that the goal behind that is also very similar. Now, one other thing, of course, that this feature has led to is that previously in the past, when initially creating a new bid strategy, you could actually also set one of your conversion goals to be a custom column that you created directly on SA360. And this, of course, was important for some clients in the past. However, of course, this has since then also been retired, and you can no longer utilize a custom conversion metric or custom conversion column on the platform directly as your conversion goal. It has to be a conversion goal that you have within the conversion summary page. So right over here on the left, you guys can see an example of a conversion summary page, which contains Floodlights, store visits, and also Adobe actions that are also tagged directly to Floodlights. And there are multiple things that we can take a look at here. First of all, there is something that we have called the conversion goal, which your campaigns can be set towards right away, such as purchase, store visit, or other. And you can create as many of these conversion goals that you would like. And then your campaigns can be targeted towards one of these conversion goals or directly to a conversion action. So again, as an example, under other, we can see that there's approximately 4 conversion actions. If our campaign was set to other, it would target all of them at once. However, if we were to select one conversion action at a time for our campaign, that will exclusively target that as its primary bidding method instead. Additionally, as well, we can also see the action optimization, whether it's primary or secondary. The differentiator here is quite simple. If a conversion action is set to primary, this means that this was going to be the primary bidding method that your campaigns utilize. So if we have a campaign on target ROAS and we have a conversion action as primary, that's how your bid strategy will know whether it's hitting its ROAS target or not. However, if a conversion action is set to secondary, it will simply be used for reporting, but the bid strategy will not identify it as the primary KPI that it's looking out for. And additionally, as well, of course, from here, you can also see the status of your conversion actions or your conversion goals, kind of understanding how many conversions they've achieved and what is their current status, whether they're active or inactive, as the first one that we see at the very top there, in case, of course, you ever need to go in and ensure that all of your data streams are working correctly. All right, now just to kind of highlight some of the best practices that we've discussed so far. The first one here is always to activate auction time bidding when applicable. It is simply more powerful and uses a lot more information than intraday bidding would. However, of course, if there's any limitations from your end that would not allow the utilization of auction time bidding, then intraday bidding is also completely fine. Additionally, as well, value-based strategies typically always perform the best within any Google tech stack, as it allows Google to understand the value behind every single conversion you're achieving, rather than just seeing conversion metrics as 1, 1, and 1. Additionally, as well, whenever you're running a new test for a bid strategy, always allow ample time for that test to run, at least 2 to 3 months, to kind of allow the bid strategy to fully learn and fully start performing before you make a decision right away on whether or not the bid strategy or the new updated one is working well for you. Additionally, very similarly to Google Ads, conversion or revenue-based strategy on SA360, especially the target ROAS or target CPA ones, do need 15 conversions in a 2-week window in order to run properly. Anything below that means that there's a very limited amount of data for the actual algorithm behind Google's machine learning to actually make meaningful decisions towards your bids. And then, of course, fifth, data is a bid strategy's lifeline within Google. The more data you have per entity, so on a campaign level, ad group level, or keyword level, gives a bid strategy more insights into how these different entities are performing and ensuring that it can make meaningful decisions based off of that data right away. So always condense as much as you can in order to have most of your data funneling between lesser and lesser entities within any given possible situation. And then the last thing as well, more focus on budget bid strategies on SA360, is to also consolidate your portfolios as much as you can. When you create a budget bid strategies individually for every single campaign that you have, it will typically perform worse when you consolidate all of your campaigns under one budget bid strategy. Now, of course, do this within what makes sense to your account and activity. And of course, only try to condense and combine portfolios that are trying to achieve a very similar KPI at once. And one clear example here is if you have a search campaign and a performance max campaign that are targeting a very similar KPI, have them both within that budget bid strategy, targeting the same KPI for the overall best performance. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining today. That's all I had to share with you all. Also want to give some time for any questions that anyone has.